This past summer, we had the pleasure of traveling to the UK and exploring some of its amazing cities. Along the way, my dad was busy recording videos of everywhere we went, and here they are, with a little of my commentary to give you some extra information. I hope you enjoy! Our trip began with a 6-hour daytime flight to Toronto, followed by a 7-hour overnight flight to a rainy Edinburgh. We arrived, recovered from jet lag for a day, and prepared for the adventure to begin. The next morning, we took the Edinburgh Hop-On Hop-Off tour, which gave us a great overview of the city and its attractions, like Waverley Station, the Grassmarket, and Holyrood Palace. Once the tour was over, we stretched our legs and walked towards lunch. On the way, we stopped to see the Scott Monument, which you can see here in all its Gothic glory. It's dedicated to the famous Scottish author Sir Walter Scott. I'd never heard of him, but he must have been a pretty good author to get a monument like this. After a short walk, we made it to Birdie's for proper fish and chips. Unsurprisingly, that's what we ordered, and it was delicious. I also tried the iconic Scottish soft drink Iron Brew for the first time. It was a little weird, but not bad. The restaurant had a great atmosphere and was right next to the Grassmarket, which is where we headed next. From here you get a great view of the ominous Edinburgh Castle from below, but this won't be the last you see of it today. After some more walking, a common theme on this trip, we made it to Edinburgh's most famous attraction, the Royal Mile. It's known for its countless closes, which are tight alleyways between buildings. We didn't spend too long here today, as we had to head towards our next stop, Edinburgh Castle. We'll be back on the mile plenty in the next couple days. Once at the castle, we took a guided tour that explained some of its history before we explored on our own. The castle was originally built as a fortress, strategically positioned on a hill, and its oldest building dates all the way back to the 12th century. Nowadays, that strategic positioning still makes for an amazing view of the city. In the center of the castle grounds is the building that houses the crown jewels of Scotland. Unfortunately, they don't allow recording inside, but trust me, they were very cool. After that, we were exhausted and headed back to the hotel for the night.
Finally, a sunny day in Edinburgh.
On day 2, we woke up to the shock of a sunny day in Edinburgh. We took another hop-on hop-off tour bus, but this one went further out towards the coast before returning to the city. Afterwards, we walked up the nearby Calton Hill to see the National Monument of Scotland. The hill also offers more great views of the city skyline. The monument was meant to be Scotland's version of the Parthenon, but it ran out of funding and was never finished. We were getting hungry, so we headed to a very special restaurant for lunch, Makar's Mash Bar. We are at the most famous eatery in Edinburgh. It's an Edinburgh institution famous for iconic Scottish food like haggis, which is, believe it or not, made from sheep intestines. We tried it and it wasn't bad at all. They also have 9 different mashed potato flavors. The food was incredible, probably the best I had on the entire trip. After filling our stomachs, we got back on the Royal Mile and explored St. Giles Cathedral, a 900-year-old church with beautiful stained glass and stunning architecture. This cathedral is also home to the Order of the Thistle, a club for the 16 most honored knights in Scotland. Their meeting place is right here, and each seat has a unique design tied to the heritage of the knight who sits there. Back outside, we decided to explore a couple of the city's suburbs. The first was Circus Lane, where the cobblestone streets and cute little houses looked like something out of a movie. After that, we walked some more until we found ourselves at Dean Village. This hidden gem is even more picturesque and was definitely worth the long walk. As if we hadn't walked enough, we decided to hike up Arthur's Seat for one last great view of Edinburgh. It's a 251-meter tall hill that offers the definitive best views of the city, and we didn't want to skip it. The hike was a grind, but watching the sun start to set over Edinburgh from the top was well worth it. Near the base of the hill were the ruins of an old chapel, where we watched the sun finally set on a long but successful day. On the morning of the third day, we boarded a train for a day trip to Glasgow. We are on the train to Glasgow. When we arrived, one of the main city squares, George Square, was unfortunately closed for construction. Although only a 40-minute train ride apart, Glasgow and Edinburgh could not be more different. Unlike Edinburgh's royal streets and touristy atmosphere, Glasgow feels more like a living, breathing city with lots of personality and culture. It almost reminded me of Vancouver. We took a short walk down the busy Buchanan Street and stopped in the nearby 19th century Prince's Square Mall for lunch. We then took the Glasgow hop-on hop-off tour to get an overview of the city in the short time we had. After that, the rain got pretty bad, so we didn't get to do much else of note before taking the train back to Edinburgh. The fourth day was all about getting to Liverpool. The first step was another train, this time to the little town of York, where we stopped to explore.
Thank you being in the audio.
York is famous for its iconic Shambles Street, which has preserved medieval buildings, some dating all the way back to the 14th century. This street and its surrounding area are now a marketplace selling everything from candy to clothes. After that, we made our way to the nearby York Minster Cathedral, which was also under construction. We didn't go inside, but the church's exterior alone was breathtaking. We finished our time in York by visiting the Yorkshire Museum Gardens and its surrounding ruins, some of which are almost 1,000 years old. After that, we boarded our train to Liverpool, arriving a couple hours later and checking into the Beatles-themed Hard Day's Night hotel. Early the next morning, we walked to the Royal Albert Dock, where the Magical Mystery Tour departed. Because of the insane fame the Beatles had and still have, there's no shortage of Beatles-themed activities in Liverpool.
So we are in Liverpool. That's my personal Disneyland.
We arrived for the tour a little early, so we checked out the nearby Fab 4 store, which is armed to the teeth with Beatles merchandise and is also home to the Beatles Story Museum. The Magical Mystery Tour, named after the Beatles' 9th album, goes all around Liverpool to famous Beatles-related sites, like the members' childhood homes or places mentioned in their songs. We rode in a colorful recreation of the bus from the movie of the same name, with excellent commentary and, of course, many Beatles songs accompanying us.
And I'll send all my loving to you.
questions, then see me after this lecture. But you will see the Penny Lane right bar. At the left, to the left-hand side, you see him as a person. Shockingly good followers of support act. We call them John, Paul, George and Winter. Mount Pleasant. So as that is the first ever music video.
Is it hot?
Yep.
Is it lovely?
Yep. After the tour, we walked back towards the River Mersey for a stroll along the riverside at the Royal Albert Dock. Originally, these buildings were docks and warehouses, a huge hub for global trade. When it opened in 1846, it was the first structure in Britain to be built entirely of iron, brick, and stone, with no wood. Nowadays, it's a bustling tourist destination with museums, galleries, and restaurants. After walking the docks, we headed back to the hotel and called it a day. Day 6 began with a walk to the gigantic and imposing Liverpool Cathedral. Built over the course of 74 years and finished in 1978, it's the largest cathedral in Britain and the most modern one we visited. Inside, Sunday Mass was happening, so we couldn't look around too much. But the cathedral somehow looked even bigger from the inside. By now, I was getting a little tired of visiting cathedrals, but this one was on another level, and definitely worth the stop. The church choir was singing, and the sound echoing through the massive space added to the atmosphere. Next up was the Beatles Story Museum. Of all the Beatles attractions in Liverpool, this one is easily the best. Accompanied by an audio guide, the museum takes you through the entire history of the band, with real artifacts like George's first guitar and John's glasses, just to name a few. Each era is brought to life with incredibly well done historical recreations of key locations. There are near full-size replicas of the Cavern Club where the Beatles performed from 1961 to 1963, the NEMS record store owned by their manager Brian Epstein, and Abbey Road Studios where they recorded most of their albums. As a fan of the Beatles, the museum was amazing, and I'd recommend it to anyone visiting Liverpool, even if you don't care that much about the band. Continuing the theme, our next stop was the actual Cavern Club. As I mentioned, the Beatles played here 292 times over 3 years, and this is where they perfected their craft as performers. But they weren't the only ones. Bands like the Rolling Stones, The Who, Queen, and Elton John also performed here over the years. The Cavern's history as a launchpad for so many successful bands cements its place as one of the most iconic music venues on the planet. It was pretty special to see it with my own eyes. Afterwards, we grabbed dinner at the Cavern Club restaurant across the street and watched as a huge downpour started out of nowhere. Today marked the 1-week anniversary of the start of our vacation, and we celebrated by taking a train to our final stop, London. The train ride was mostly uneventful, but the weather was nice and we got to see the beautiful British countryside. Our hotel room, however, was the biggest surprise of the entire trip.
Okay, this is our London apartment.
For some unknown reason, our room was upgraded for free to a penthouse suite on the 16th floor. The view of the city was absolutely insane, with 2 balconies to take it all in. Seriously, the video doesn't do it justice. The room was so good that we didn't want to go anywhere else, so we just stayed in and watched the London sunset from our penthouse. We seriously hit the jackpot. Day 8 started with a royal visit to Buckingham Palace, the residence and administrative headquarters of the monarch.
So we are going to the Buckingham Palace, right? Yes.
Yes, the state rooms.
From the royal guards in their famous hats to the gigantic marble statue of Queen Victoria outside, the exterior of this building is iconic. Unfortunately, filming inside the palace is strictly prohibited, but I promise it was very cool. After our tour, we headed to the nearby St. James's Park for a relaxing stroll. From there, we saw Westminster Abbey, probably the most famous church of our trip. It's significant for being the location of the coronations of 40 British monarchs and has hosted countless other national ceremonies since the 11th century. Very close by is the tourist attraction in London and a symbol of Britain, Big Ben. What can I even say about it? It's huge, way bigger in person than I expected. And when you look closer, the intricate details in its design are mind-blowing. The 15-ton bell rings every 15 minutes, and its booming sound can be heard across the city. Later, while looking for a place to eat, we stumbled upon a hidden tunnel filled with all sorts of graffiti. We later found out that this was the Leek Street Tunnel, a famous spot for legal street art that gained notoriety in 2008 thanks to Banksy. The art inside is constantly evolving, and it was a surreal feeling walking through it. After leaving the tunnel, we walked towards our next site, Tower Bridge. Opened in 1894, its giant towers and bright blue details make it unlike any other bridge in the world. It spans the River Thames, allowing cars to cross, but its drawbridge design also allows tall ships to pass underneath. The bridge connects to the equally famous Tower of London, which we plan to explore the next day. After crossing the bridge and back, we walked along the Thames, passing through the Borough Market. We were there after everything had closed, but you could tell it would be a cool and lively place during the day. Nearby, we saw the spot where Shakespeare's original Globe Theatre stood 400 years ago, and then we looked at the new one, which opened in 1997. The replica of the Elizabethan theatre sticks out like a sore thumb among the giant glass buildings surrounding it. We are at the Globe Theatre, or the new one at least. Today was our last full day in the UK, and the final big attraction on our list was the Tower of London. It's one of the city's oldest and most famous landmarks, sitting right next to the Tower Bridge. The central White Tower was built almost 1,000 years ago by William the Conqueror as a fortress, but over the centuries it has also been a royal palace, a prison, and even a zoo. It houses countless artifacts, from weapons and armor to art. Its most famous role, however, is as the home of the crown jewels of Britain, which you can go inside and see up close. The tower also has a dark history, with stories of executions and ghosts that give it a slightly eerie atmosphere. Today, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of London's top attractions. As you walk around, you'll spot the famous ravens that live on the grounds. We spent most of our day here as there's a ton to see. Sadly, our time in this city and country was coming to a close, so we headed back for one last sleep before our long journey home. After a sad morning and cab ride to the airport, knowing we probably wouldn't be back for a while, we boarded 2 flights to get home. First to Calgary, then back to Vancouver. Overall, it was an incredible trip, full of history, amazing food, and unforgettable sights. Thanks for coming along with us and reliving the memories. Until next time.